live on the set. Welcome to the Bayou, a place where legends are born and many have witnessed them. From Coach Dale to Shaq, Joe, and Jaden to Eddie Kennison. You come to Death Valley or P-Mac, expect that voodoo. Top speed like it's 4-2, where nobody's catching Bluetooth. Represent the Chuck and WM no matter what. From Gosport to a legend, that's what's up.
I'm so excited for my next guest and our new season of Geaux2Legends. But before I get into the nuts and bolts and the bones of what we do, Coach Seimone, I'm so grateful. And if no one has told you today, let me be the first to tell you, I love you with the love of Christ. There's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. And be a light that shines so bright today that it has the impact to save someone's life. Today's episode is brought to you by T-Mobile. And T-Mobile has the fastest 5G network in Louisiana, and T-Mobile has the most reliable 5G network in Louisiana. Man, I'm super excited that our next guest needs no introduction, but I will absolutely do my best in introducing my next guest. And before I mention her name, I will read this list because I enjoy giving flowers, Coach. I really do. And here's a short little bio with a lot of things that has happened in her career. Obviously born and raised in Baton Rouge. She's the daughter of Seymour and Kim Augustus. And at some point in high school, you were ranked 6th among 214 students in the senior class at Capitol High School. I believe this is probably the most important. You carried a 3.71 grade point average in accelerated classes. So obviously very, very intelligent. You volunteered at the Gus Young Center in Baton Rouge, received the Community Service Award during the 2001 NAACP Freedom Fund Banquet. And you also graduated from LSU this past August. And that's really interesting because I graduated this past August as well, this summer. You're also a classic car person, kind of like I am. You in particularly love the Impalas from the 1960s. But here, ladies and gentlemen, your jersey was retired by LSU in 2010. 2006 WNBA #1 draft pick to the Minnesota Lynx, 2005 and 2006 National Player of the Year, member of the 2006 USA Basketball Women's Senior National Team, 2004, 5, and 6 the Kodak All-American, NCAA Tournament Regional MOP All-Regional Team, 2003, 4, 5, and 6 All-SEC Tournament Team, 2005 and 2006 SEC Player of the Year, 2005, 2006 First Team All-American. Yes, Coach, I'm going to read all of these because you deserve your flowers. 2005, 2006 Honda Award for Basketball, 2006 Senior Class Award, member of the 2005 United States World University Games Gold Medal Team, 2003 Consensus National Freshman of the Year, 2003 SEC Freshman of the Year, 2004, 2005, 2006 First Team All-SEC, AP and Coaches, 2003 and 2004 Third Team All-American, 2004, 2005, 2006 Louisiana Player of the Year, 2003, 4, 5, and 6 First Team All-Louisiana, 2003 Louisiana Freshman of the Year, member of the 2003 United States World Championship for Young Women Gold Medal Team, MVP of the 2003 FIBA World Championship for Young Women, 2003 United States Basketball Female Athlete of the Year, and just recently, 2023 first female student athlete to receive a statue in her honor, recently inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, 2024 inducted into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, and just last weekend, 2024 inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, Miss Seimone Augustus. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Coach. That was a mouthful. The episode is over.
It is over. But, and rightfully so, you absolutely earn those awards. And I've seen you around campus, and you're so humble about who you are, the way you go about taking care of your business. So I appreciate who you are and being the professional lady that I've just gotten to really know over the last few weeks. I was nervous when I first met you, believe it or not. And I first met you at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame induction, and a lot was going on there. But I said, I'm just going to ask and see what happens. And here you are today.
Of course,
Yeah.
I have to, respect your courage.
Yeah.
You were able to come up to me and speak to me, and it was a great conversation that led us to be right here for a reason.
That's
we
right.
got a lot to say, and I hope we have a great session.
Yeah, absolutely. And Seimone, I'll jump right into it. Take us back to early childhood when you first fell in love with sport, whether it was basketball or another sport. I know I started at the age of 7. Take us back from the time you can remember early age that you fell in love with sport.
It started at the age of 5. I played a number of different sports. I started with softball, soccer, golf, basketball, volleyball. I mean, you name it. I think for my parents, it was just something. I'm an only child, so it's like get her out of the house. It's an opportunity to make friends, but most importantly, it's an opportunity to explore yourself. And so I tried all of those sports. Some I were good at, pretty decent at. Some I was terrible at. And then I found basketball. And it was almost like when I picked up the ball, I can do whatever I wanted to do. I felt comfortable. I felt free. The nature of competing in basketball, like how physical you get to be. You get to talk a little smack. I'm playing against like my neighborhood friends, mostly boys. So then I get a chance to beat up on the boys a little bit, It just felt good. It felt normal. It felt like me. Mm-hmm. And so I just continued to pursue it. And like I just told him last week, my dad's first comments to me about basketball was, do you want to be good or do you want to be great at it? And he, basically was like, if you want to be good, it's a way that I can coach you to just be good or okay. And if you want to be great, it's a way that I can coach you to be great. And I told him I wanted to be great. And from that day forward, we really put our best foot forward. Coming from humble beginnings and not having a lot of resources, we made a lot happen with very little. And so we were in the yard every day. I was great and thankful that I had a lot of friends that thought just like me. When they say find like-minded people that align with what it is that you're trying to do, I definitely think that I was blessed in that way, that I just grew up around a community of people that had the same, determination, the same focus, the same everything. Even if it wasn't for basketball, I was around people that was going to push me and motivate me just as well as I was going to push and motivate them.
Right. Well, and that's the statement that your dad used, do you want to be good or do you want to be great? I absolutely use that with my sons. I have 3 sons. My oldest son is in the Navy. He's 26. My 22-year-old, he's in Austin, working, getting ready to train to be a bodybuilder. And I have my 11-year-old son, Griffin. And I absolutely ask them all the time, do you want to be good or do you want to be great? Even at their levels of where they've accomplished so far. So, man, I love your dad already just for, having that statement. I have something in common with Seimone Augustus' dad, that we use the same lines. So from understanding childhood, developing through that early age, at some point, obviously you go into middle school, then you jump into high school. Take us to some memorable moments like early on high school, and then how did the recruiting process really start for you in high school?
High school, but even before high school, in middle school, you started to see like your talent was separating you from others. And so, it required a different type of focus, a different type of work ethic as far as, being on the court. What was it you was trying to get out of the court? And I remember, just learning lessons. My mom and my dad played sports up until about high school. And my mom never really played against me. She never she was that nurturing mother in the house. After I work out, she's in the house with food ready and kind, encouraging words. But I remember one day she did step outside. She was like, let me show you a little something. And so we started playing horse. And of course, I'm like, my mom, And she beat me in a game of horse. All bank shots.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. I had never learned bank shots. I was just shooting the ball. And, so it was just a beautiful unfolding of lessons that I learned, being humbled by my mother who taught me how to shoot a bank shot and things like that. So it's just the evolution of my game from like middle school even to high school. And once I entered high school, obviously the competition was a lot higher, the expectations were a lot higher, so it requires a different level of you, a different level of greatness, once you enter in. But I don't think the recruiting process as far as like college didn't happen for me until, probably well into my freshman year, because prior to, I didn't travel with AAU. Now they have the EYBL and Nike travel teams and all of this. I really only played here in Louisiana. Like when I say Louisiana made me, they really did. I went to different courts around Baton Rouge. The furthest I went for like a tournament was maybe New Orleans. And unless some of the bigger teams from the West Coast, the East Coast came here to play, I didn't get a chance to play against them. And so it wasn't until maybe my freshman, sophomore year, I got a chance to play on the AAU team that went to nationals. We did not make it out of pool play. We only played a few little games prior to. And I played well enough to get some eyes on me to go to an elite camp. It was Blue Star Elite Camp in Terre Haute, Indiana. Had no idea what it was, but it was my first invite to a national camp.
Right.
And my parents put money together to send me out there. I go out there and I'm walking around. There's girls bigger than me. I've never seen, like, I'm the biggest girl down here in Baton Rouge. I'm the strongest, I'm the fastest. Then I go elsewhere, I'm seeing girls that are like 6'6", 6'8", my height, nice build, handles, everything that I possess, they got that and then some in their bag. But the thing that I think separated me from them is because I hadn't been on those circuits. So I didn't understand what being ranked was. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? So I would just go in these gyms, or I just went in this gym and I'm just like, they got a ball, they got a basket, they got a court.
That's right.
I come here to hoop. So the expectations or the pressure that they had on them because they were number one in their class and number 5 was different from me because you know what I'm saying? So I just go out there, and I remember the last day of camp, they had a one-on-one. It was supposed to be one-on-one 3-bounce, but a few courts had already got started prior to. So it was just straight up one-on-one. That's in my wheelhouse there. I'm like, we about to get it in. But as you go into the different courts, you can see how girls' mentalities change based on who they was playing. Like, oh my God, I'm playing against such and such.
Right.
She's such and I'm like, I don't know. Check the rock. Let's go.
Let's go. Right.
Yeah, check the rock. Let's go. And I'm just, beating everybody on different courts. And then I get to the final court, and I'm playing against a young lady, Nicole Powell. She played for the Sacramento Monarchs for quite a few years. Was a great WNBA player. And we didn't even know, even know that at that time. So we go on 1v1. We start out the thing, and both of us not playing our game at all. And I remember Coach Tony Pappas was our counselor, or head instructor. And he was like, play your game. Do your thing. I'm like, oh, say less. Go out there and do my thing, win the one-on-one competition. And I was actually the youngest player at that camp. At that time, I was like 13, 14 compared to other girls who were juniors and seniors. And from that point on, my career changed. My high school career changed. Like, letters started coming through the mail. Coaches started coming to campus. Recruiting. The recruiting started, and I didn't even know what this process was. So now I'm like, all right, I got to figure out what it is I want out of this process. Like, I could read this letter. Does that letter resonate with me? So I was really detailed in my approach with how I focused on recruiting. Like, what did they have to offer?
Right.
Some of these letters that they send in, they can take my name off and put your name on it. It's still going to make the same sense.
That's right.
It wasn't authentic. It wasn't handwritten. It didn't, really apply. So I really focused on how much attention to detail did each one of these schools pay attention to, or did they just want to have me on their roster just because I was another big star. So that was the turning point for me as far as my mindset in recruiting and how I played.
Okay. And during that time, I know when I was coming out, and I'm probably a lot older than you, Seimone, but when I was coming out, we had 5 visits that we can take, official visits, and we can go on unofficial visits all we wanted. But the 5 official visits, did you take your 5 visits, or did you narrow it down through letters to say, I want to go to LSU, I want to go to other schools to visit?
Yeah, I didn't even take all 5 of my visits. I only took 3. And if you remember at that time, Connecticut and Tennessee were the top schools. So it was like, if you got a letter from them, most people was like, I'm committing.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm committing. There's no more conversation. But, for me, I took my time because I wanted to. It was 4 years. It's not like now with the transfer portal. Like, the commitment was 4 years.
That's right.
And if you left, you had some type of violation or punishment or penalty for leaving in conference or out of conference. So you wasn't really risking sitting out a year or 2 years. So I really took my time. LSU was on it from, I was like 9, 10 years old. They were sending me stuff because I was in their backyard.
That's
so
right.
They already knew about me. So they were already sending me like handwritten letters and just like, oh, I heard you had, a great report card, stuff like that. And then obviously Tennessee, and the other school was Duke. It was more academics for me when I thought about Duke because my parents, you just said something that I hadn't heard in years. Like, you had a 3-point-something GPA and you were top 10 in your class. Like, I haven't heard that in so many years, so it brings back memories. But that was a good reason, why I was considering Duke. But also they had a great women's basketball program who was led by Elena Beard at the time, which is another Louisiana native. So I was like, that really,
That's right.
that could be something right there. And then Tennessee, being one of the powerhouses in women's basketball and in the South, and just that connection, seeing the three Meeks and, so on and so forth. So it was a tough decision based on home, education, or just legit basketball when you think about the University of Tennessee. And at that point, it was back to the details.
Right.
How consistent were they in their recruiting efforts? What were they saying when they were recruiting? Were they presenting stuff to my parents that was appropriate for them and what they wanted to get out of this as well? And I just narrowed it down to my final two, which was Tennessee and LSU.
Right.
And of course, that 6 months, 8 months before, I think I did the last signing period. So that April, the end of April. So everything was crucial. I'm riding around Baton Rouge. There was no place I can go where people didn't give me they 2 cents about where they thought I should go. Some people were like Tennessee, others were like LSU. And it really boiled down to an unwavering belief in self.
Right.
Like, I love Tennessee, love all the programs that basically established the women's game. But I was like, we got to have more powerhouses. We got to have more teams to compete with those teams. And why not be able to do that right here at home? A lot of the girls that were on the team at the time, I had played with them, played against them, right here in the States. So I knew I was a fan of LSU. I would go to all their games.
Right.
Even when they had the black curtain, I was in there, sitting in the nosebleed somewhere. But I saw how hard they competed, how they competed with the Tennessees and the Georgias and everyone who would come to town and play against them. They might take an L, but it wasn't an easy, it was a hard L. Yeah, right. It was a hard L. They put that work in. So I'm like, maybe 1 or 2 players, what may happen? What's the possibilities here? And so even being at home for another 4 years and thinking about how big of a community impact I had when I was at Capitol High School.
Right.
What would that look like if I stayed home and was able to lead my hometown team to some form of glory?
That's right.
Which is hard to do, but I figured if I fail, at least I tried.
That's right. That's right. And that's all we can do as athletes.
That's all we can do.
That's right. And I tell you what, you accomplished so much, so you did not fail. And we appreciate that so much. So the day that you ultimately decide, I'm picking LSU over Tennessee, and maybe you had that conversation with mom, dad, family. Take us through the day where you ultimately made that decision and made the announcement that you were going to be an LSU Tiger.
I remember just sitting in my house on the sofa, and I think my mom came in and she had both of the packets. She was like, "Gotta pick one," and I was like, "All right, LSU," and she was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, the impact." I think they kind of thought like she gonna go there. She loved basketball so much, Tennessee, and I was like, "No, LSU." She was like, "Okay, you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." She gave me the packet, and she was like, "But before you fill out this packet, you need to call Coach Summit and let her know." Now, that was probably the hardest part in the whole situation. I was so hoping she didn't answer her phone and just leave it on a voicemail, but she did. She answered the phone, and she was very graceful and everything, but she was also a competitor.
That's
so
right.
when I was like, "Hey, I'm deciding to go to LSU," she was like, "Oh, I kind of figured, great choice, so on and so forth." And she was like, "I'll see you soon."
Yeah.
And you know how to
That
see
sound
you
like Pat
soon.
Summitt.
Yeah, that see you soon a little different. So I'm like, all right, and I knew what that meant. And I was happy with the process. Obviously, hearing someone of her stature, like, she's like, "No, that was a great decision.
Mm-hmm.
And good luck to you. But now it's time for me to head 10 minutes up the street and see what I can do." And so I just remember getting that first day on campus. Obviously, Coach Skip Berman put so much pressure on me. Like, she was the top recruit, the best recruit we ever had, or something like that. And I'm like, oh, Lord, more expectations. But, pressure is a privilege.
That's right.
So
powerful.
Yeah, pressure is a privilege. And you should want to be in pressure situations because we always pressure either bust pipe or make diamonds.
That's right. That's right.
And if you are courageous enough and willing enough and brave enough to go on that path, to follow your path, because it's no other path.
That's right.
That was my path.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a leap out on faith just to see what I can do, to challenge myself as an athlete.
Well, I can tell you definitely made diamonds, just reading, right? All of your accomplishments that you've accomplished so far, and you're still accomplishing things. Take us to, obviously you mentioned about first coming on campus and Skip giving you that pressure, right? The most memorable moment coming on campus, maybe your first time on campus, not the pressure from Skip, but something that you remember coming in your freshman year, that's a core memory for you.
I would just say seeing the crowds, seeing the immediate impact, the visibility of the eyes. And this was before social media, but yet that's right. PMAC was, it was getting packed. And like I said before, I remember when they had the black curtain that covered one side of the arena because there wasn't many fans,
that's right.
In the stadium. So now we go from that to this, I got to get a ticket. It's the hottest ticket in town. It's sold out. I want to be in the place. That was the most gratifying thing to me because that's what I was hoping for.
That's right.
As a player, I'm just like, I think we can do something great, but if we do something great, it's going to be amazing. It's going to look amazing. And we were able to do that. And I think the best core memory was probably our first Final Four. How divine is that our first Final Four was in New Orleans, right up the street. Right up the street. And we played some unbelievable basketball. I don't believe that people expected us to make it, but we went on a run like no other, and it felt good. It felt like, you've been on great teams before when you bond with your teammates, and it's just kind of like nothing matters. You just focus on one another. That's what it felt like on that run. And to be able to go up the street, and then we pull up to New Orleans, and they got the second line bands playing, and everybody, we know the vibe of New Orleans.
That's right.
So once you get down there, you just like, yeah, we at home, we ready to play basketball. But to just see how people followed us and adored us and respected what we brought to the table, that was the most amazing thing for me.
Yeah, and our fans, they've always been that way because even playing on the football team in the early 90s, we didn't sell out the stadium, but we had those avid fans that would come out and that would travel and see, and they still do that to this day. So our fans are the best fans in the country, bar none. So you get through LSU your freshman year, and you're having some fun, making the Final Four, making a run for the national championship. Your time at LSU, I know it was short-lived, but it was fun. Take us through LSU and getting ready for the WNBA draft. I know you had fun with your teammates and coaches and all of that, but to save time, take us to the point where you're through LSU and getting to the WNBA draft. Tell us about those moments and those core memories leading up to that draft.
Yeah, to finish out like my junior, senior year, I had an opportunity to play with Sylvia Fowles and the best post players, in the world. And so that was an amazing thing because now I had to learn how to play with other great players, be able to lead, follow, and do so many amazing things during my junior and senior year that basically helped prepare me for my rookie season, at Minnesota. And just my time period at LSU helped. Like when I think about a growth spurt as an athlete or as a human being, LSU provided that for me. Like my game from Capitol High to here was different by the time I left here. And it's just a matter of, the coaches caring, everyone really supporting you, but also being able to elevate your game in a way like we would get in a video room and just break down video and figure out ways that I can be better on both sides of the ball, how I can help my teammates, things like that really opened up my game a lot more, that prepared me for the next level to be a professional. Because once you get to the other side, they expect you to show up to work every day and bring what you know you can bring to the table, but also continue to bring something to the table every year that's going to help our team. So when I got ready to go to the pros and I got drafted, I feel like I had one of the smoothest transitions because I was able to just stick to the core values, like the core of my game, and it's implemented well. Obviously, number one picks don't always go to the best team, so the demand on you is a little bit higher to be able to perform at a higher level, than most other rookies. But LSU's experience, playing at the height, going to the Final Four year after year, trying to compete for titles, that built up a resolve within me that when I got to my rookie year, I already had that like professionalism, so to say, in me, where it's like no matter if we winning by 20, losing by 20, I know how to come into the game. I know how to work. I know what mindset I need to have in order to be successful.
That's right. Well, and I appreciate that. And leading into our next segment or few questions, it's brought to you by EcoSport, introducing EcoLight and EcoSport, the nation's leading manufacturer of LED lighting solutions for commercial and sports lighting applications. We are proud to support Geaux2Legends to help light the way for future legends. So, Coach, your time in the WNBA, what are some fun memories that you remember about playing in the WNBA?
Yeah, the good ones, the bad ones.
Well, because we all deal with good, bad, and indifferent, right? And not all bad situations are bad memories. Some of those bad situations turn out to be diamonds because we find whoever we are, whatever we're doing, however we're trying to lead a team. Some of those make great core memories because it helped change the face of who you are as a team or as a person. So, I mean, if you have some of those that change that, those would be fine too.
I would have to say is I think the key word for my professional career would be like either persistence or determination. Because like I said before, you come into a team as a number one pick, you're not going to the best team. And so for the first 4 years of my career, we didn't lose. I mean, we didn't win. I'm sorry, lose. Lost a lot. Lost a lot. We didn't win a lot, and that tests your resolve as far as like how bad do you want something. Some people give in, they request trades, they want to go other places, or you dig deep, you dig in, you find something, you're like, no matter what, I'm gonna keep, sticking to what it is that I know. And I think that built up something within me, just, my character, just staying the course of those four years that were, probably one of the worst starts,
Sure.
We were the laughing stock in the league. I was just laughing with a friend. I was like, I remember we were playing the Detroit Shock, and we warming up, getting ready for the game, going through our normal routine, and they were sitting on the side, like, eating some snacks, whatever. And I walked over to one of my friends on the team. I'm like, y'all not going to warm up? They was like, for what? We're going to beat y'all by 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was that. Wow. Yeah, it was that bad. And so, I'm like, okay. So you go from those moments, but like I said, you keep working. Like my work ethic never changed. The things that I needed to do, how I showed up every day never changed until the good times roll.
That's right.
And I didn't know the good times were right around the corner. But when you're in the midst of those times, you just like, oh my God, another year, another time. The next time you look up, you put in so much work and things have changed so much around you based on your focus, your mindset, and then the organization's vision of what they want to be. It aligned.
Right.
And after those hard 4 years, I had one of the best experiences in my basketball journey. We created a dynasty starting in 2011 that ran all the way to 2018, I believe, 17, 18. And in that time, we won 4 championships. I think we went to 6 finals. Like stuff that if you had asked me 4 years prior, I'd have been like, we ain't going to no finals.
Right.
But
y'all were probably the ones sitting on the sideline eating snacks before teams you play. No, I'm just joking.
No, right. But think about it. It could have been that. Had I not, been who I was and had the teammates that I had, we could have easily got complacent, but we never did. Because we had went through all those hardships, we appreciated when the times got good. So my dad would always say this, is like, you got to learn how to be a good loser before you can be a great winner. And I never understood what that meant until I experienced that little piece of my career where I was I had to be a good loser.
Right.
In order for my moment when I became a great winner.
That's
and
right.
I was like, you know what? I'm thankful for those words of wisdom because it kept me humble in times of toughness. I mean, tough times, and then in great times, I was able to remain humble.
That's right. Well, I mean, I think we all as athletes, we all go through those tough times. And I even think about one guy I played against, Tom Brady in the National Football League. He went through tough times early on in his career, but ultimately they built a dynasty there. So definitely understand that. I know in my 13 years in the National Football League that I played, it was a time at 35 years old, Seimone, that I had to say, I have to retire, right? I have to leave the game that I love so much because of age. Because in the National Football League, 35 is old. It's like 270 in dog years, but, it gets old, right? And there was a time in your career towards the end where you had to make the decision that, all right, I've given everything that I possibly could to this game. It's time for me to walk away and start the next chapter in my life. Take us through just a short period of that time when it was time to retire and you said, I have to walk away to get ready for the next chapter.
I think, all athletes struggle with retiring, saying the R word,
That's right.
all this stuff. But I had the situation where it's like your body tells you, athletes also have that too. Like, oh, my body was telling me, my mind, my body was telling me that it was time. And even though I felt like our mind over matter, we can push through some stuff. And we have pushed through quite a few things probably in our careers. It got to a point where I was just like, well, what am I doing this for? Mm-hmm. And when I had that thought, I was like, yeah, it's time. Because I had never had that thought before in my life. Like, basketball is my passion. I get up every day. I have no problem. I go out here, I play, I give my all, I go home. Mm-hmm. I had that one thought, and I was like, yeah, it's time for me to take the shoes off. And you also see the transition of the younger generation coming in. Mm-hmm. I no longer saw the peers that I came in with in my draft class and before. Now I was a new generation of players, so I'm like, do I want to stick around?
Gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go. It's
That's
time
right.
Yeah, so it was, even though it was hard, I also understood it was time. Mm-hmm. And some players, like I said, battle with that. But I was ready. I think I was ready. It was just a matter of something like confirming that I was ready to go. And once I had that thought, sitting in my car after practice one day, I was just like, yeah, it's time. This is it. This is it. I pass the torch. You can have it,
Well, that's awesome. And I know your career is, we still love who you are as a person and coach, and you were just brought on to the women's basketball staff here at LSU just this past year. Walk us just through that process where either Scott called you or Kim called you or somebody called you to say, hey, would you be interested in this position?
Yeah, actually, Coach Starkey called me first just to kind of check the temperature to see if I was even interested in coaching and stuff like that. He knew I had been in it prior, but I decided to take like a year off because I jumped right into coaching when I retired, and I just was going from there. So the year that they called me, I was actually like, whoo, trying to get it all out. And he asked that was I still interested in coaching, and I was like, yeah, I'm still interested. And he was like, well, Coach Mulkey has a position open. She wanted to know if it's okay for her to call, and so I was like, yeah, of course. And so Coach Mulkey called, and she told me about Johnny retiring and that she had availability, and she was like, well, I would love for you to be on the staff, but we got to figure things out. I was like, okay. So over the course of the next 3 weeks, we just kind of went through the process, talking what my role would be, what I'll be doing, stuff like that. And in that time, I was also interviewing for some other positions on the pro side, looking at some coaching schools and stuff like this. And I remember our last conversation, she was just like, so what are you looking for out of this? And I was like, well, I'm trying to gain some experience and find my voice and, figure out my philosophy and this and that. And she was like, no better way but to get in there and get you some experience. I'm going to give you that. You're going to get on the court. You're going to go out there. You're going to instruct these girls. You're going to get all of that. You're going to actually get your hands on and get in there. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what I was looking for, because everything else was almost like a classroom setup where you kind of learning, but you're really not out there. It's different when you instructing live.
That's right.
On time.
That's right. Making
the decisions, the adjustments when needed. So also seeing her character and who she is and knowing her teams. I played against her teams, which she always, till this day, give me some slack about. They beat us in 05, I believe. They beat us in 05, and so I can't live that down. Even now in the office, she's like, yeah, when we beat y'all in 05.
And she gonna make sure you remember them stories.
She's gonna make sure you remember it. But it's a beautiful thing because I understand who she is as a competitor, and so even more than that, like, I get to learn from one of the best. She's won as a player, as an assistant coach, and as a head coach, and that's very rare. I don't know if there's any other coach that's done that, outside of her. But what better way to learn than someone that's won at every facet of the game in basketball and in life?
Well, I can tell you that just getting to speak with you over the last couple weeks, I think this is the longest session that you and I have had for me to really understand who you are as a woman and as a former athlete and now a coach. But I can tell you, even in our first exchanges at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, I got this really cool calm and peace about who you are as a person, as a woman. And from what I've gathered so far, I can say that our young ladies on campus, and not just our basketball team, but any person that comes in contact with Seimone Augustus, they will be blessed by your presence just because of who you are and what you give off. Not any of your accolades or anything like that, but I, as a genuine person, and I feel that and I get that from you. So our women are very blessed to have you to help them grow in life and on the court. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I guess I pride myself on that every day. I just want to present something new, something different. I know when people see me, what they may think, have an idea, but as you have experienced, it's just a different feel. Like, people may have run into celebrities or people they think are celebrities and haven't had the best interaction with them.
That's right.
And so I pride myself on making sure that I at least engage with you and make you, people want to be seen.
That's right.
And acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing wrong with that.
That's
No
right.
matter where you at in life. And so I always kind of keep that. I'm a human being, and my life experiences is somewhat the same or maybe slightly different. I don't live in a gated community. I don't live this lap of luxury that affords me, this type of lifestyle. I'm a human being. I go to the grocery store the same way. I go pump my gas.
That's right.
I do everything else. So I pride myself on just being a great representative of the world and being a good citizen, of the city.
Yep, and we thank you for that. Coach, for our listeners who are watching and or listening on social media, if you are on social media, how can they find you? How can they follow you in your life, in your career?
I know, you put me on the spot. I don't, I feel, this is when I feel old school. It's like, what's my handle? I believe Instagram is @MoneyMone33, and Twitter might be @Seimone Augustus.
Okay. Well, we'll get it figured out, and we'll let them show. We'll share it on our page, and we'll find it and make sure that it's all set. But Seimone Augustus, I thank you. I'm so honored and humbled that you agreed to come on and do this podcast. It's really for our legends. That was my thought and my heart behind it. It's for our legends to come on and tell their stories, whether you won, 4 or 5 national championships, or you was just a walk on the team. So because all of us have that story. So thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Geaux2Legends. And ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. And I'll end with this. If no one has told you today, let me be the first to tell you, I love you with the love of Christ, my friend. There's absolutely nothing that you can do about it, and be a light that shines so bright today that it has the impact to save someone's life. This episode is brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile is America's largest, fastest, and most awarded 5G network. T-Mobile has the fastest 5G network in Louisiana. And also brought to you by EcoSport, introducing EcoLight and EcoSport, the nation's leading manufacturer in LED lighting solutions for commercial and sports lighting applications. We're proud to support Geaux2Legends to help light the way for future legends. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace out.
Geaux2Legends fans, we ask that you subscribe, like, share, tell everybody who's an LSU fan, your uncle, your mom, your dad, your cousin, sister, everybody. Share this with them, have them do the same, and I promise you, y'all won't regret being a part of the Geaux2Legends podcast.
The struggle, the hustle, the blood, the sweat, the tears from the L's you took, don't forget. Survival of the fittest, the cheers, the rings and bucks, now legendary status, that's what's up. The struggle, the hustle, the blood, the sweat, the tears from the L's you took, don't forget. Survival of the fittest, the cheers, the rings and bucks, now legendary status, that's what's up.